Microsoft paid $8.5 billion for Skype in 2011. 14 years later, the company shut it down and redirected everyone to Teams. The app that once defined video calling, the verb people used instead of saying video chat, lost the market it created. This is the story of how that happened. In the early 2000s, making a voice call over the internet was expensive, clunky, and required specialized hardware. Niklas Zennström and Janus Friis, two Europeans who had already built the file-sharing network KaZaA, saw an opportunity. They partnered with 4 Estonian developers, Arti Heinla, Priit Kasesalu, Jan Tallinn, and Toivo Annus. The team's idea was to use peer-to-peer architecture, the same approach that powered KaZaA, to route voice calls without paying for expensive server infrastructure. They launched the first public beta on August 29, 2003. The technical breakthrough was elegant. Skype didn't run calls through a central server farm that the company had to pay for. Instead, it turned every user's computer into a node in a distributed network. Calls were routed through other users' machines, which meant Skype could scale without building data centers. The cost of a voice call dropped to nearly zero. Users could talk to anyone, anywhere for free, as long as both sides had an internet connection. And because the architecture was decentralized, call quality often exceeded what traditional phone networks offered. The name itself reflected this technical foundation. The founders combined Sky and peer-to-peer into Skyper, then shortened it to Skype when they found the domain available. It was a product whose identity was inseparable from its architecture. The growth was immediate. By the time eBay acquired Skype in September 2005, the platform had become the default way millions of people made international calls. eBay paid approximately $2.5 billion in cash and stock, with additional performance-based payments that brought the total to $2.6 billion. The company was betting that Skype would become the communication layer for its marketplace. Buyers and sellers could negotiate in real time. Auctions could become conversations. The acquisition didn't deliver the integration eBay hoped for, but Skype kept growing on its own. It added video calling. It added messaging. It became a verb. At its peak, Skype was cultural infrastructure. Families used it to talk across continents. Businesses used it for remote meetings before remote work was a common term. By 2009, when a group of investors, including Silver Lake, Andreessen Horowitz, and the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board bought 65% of the company from eBay for $1.9 billion, Skype was valued at $2.92 billion. eBay's experiment had ended, but the platform's trajectory continued upward. 2 years later, Microsoft paid $8.5 billion to acquire it outright. That price reflected not just the user base, but the belief that Skype owned the future of communication. Microsoft announced the deal in May 2011 and completed the acquisition in October of that year, incorporating Skype as a division and acquiring all its technologies. But Skype had a structural problem that was already visible before Microsoft bought it. The peer-to-peer architecture that made Skype cheap to run also made it brittle and hard to control. Calls depended on the availability and bandwidth of other users' devices. If the network topology shifted, or if a key supernode went offline, call quality degraded unpredictably. The architecture was also difficult to secure. Routing traffic through unknown third-party machines created privacy risks and made it nearly impossible to guarantee enterprise-grade reliability. For consumer users making free calls, Occasional glitches were tolerable. For businesses paying for communication tools, they were not. Microsoft inherited a platform built for one kind of user trying to serve another. Microsoft made a decision that seemed logical at the time. In May 2012, the company moved Skype off its hybrid peer-to-peer model and onto Microsoft-operated supernodes. It gave the company more control over call quality and security, but it also eliminated the cost advantage that had made Skype possible in the first place. Skype now required the same kind of expensive server infrastructure as every other communication platform. The technical moat was gone. The transition was complete by the end of that month, and Skype was now competing on the same terms as everyone else. Then the market moved. In 2013, Microsoft replaced Windows Live Messenger with Skype, making it the default messaging app in Windows 8.1. The transition happened over a month-long period from April 8th to April 30th. Messenger had been one of Microsoft's own products, and folding it into Skype was meant to consolidate the company's communication strategy. But the same year, mobile messaging apps exploded. WhatsApp, WeChat, and Facebook Messenger all added voice and video calling. They were faster, simpler, and designed for phones instead of desktop computers. Skype had been built for an era when people sat at desks. The new generation of apps was built for the device people actually carried. The company released mobile versions, but they felt like adaptations rather than native experiences. Microsoft tried to adapt. In 2017, the company moved Skype entirely onto Azure, its cloud platform, completing the shift to a centralized architecture that had begun 5 years earlier. It released new mobile apps and tried to modernize the interface, but each update felt like an attempt to fix the previous update. Features appeared and disappeared. The user experience became inconsistent across platforms. Meanwhile, competitors kept shipping. Zoom, which launched in 2013, focused exclusively on video meetings and built an experience that worked reliably on every device. By the time the pandemic hit in 2020, Zoom was the verb, and Skype was the app people remembered using a decade earlier. The moment that should have been Skype's vindication became its funeral. Microsoft had its own answer by then. In November 2014, the company announced that its enterprise communication product Link would be replaced by Skype for Business in 2015. The new branding was an attempt to bridge consumer and workplace communication, bringing the Skype name into the enterprise while offering the reliability businesses demanded. But the real successor was Teams, which launched in 2017 as part of the Office 365 suite. Teams integrated chat, video, file sharing, and productivity tools into a single interface built for the way companies actually worked. It wasn't trying to be a free consumer app. It was trying to be the operating system for collaboration, and it was bundled with software businesses were already paying for. Microsoft had built a product that made Skype redundant within its own portfolio. By February 2023, Skype was still being used by 36 million people each day. That's not a failure by most measures. But it was no longer growing, and Microsoft had already moved on. On May 5th, 2025, the company officially retired Skype. The website now redirects to Microsoft Teams. Users who had paid for calling services through the platform can still access the Skype dial pad for landline and mobile calls, but the app itself is gone. The brand that once defined internet communication has been folded into a corporate collaboration tool designed for a different era and a different user. The aftermath is visible in the industry Skype helped create. Video calling is now ubiquitous, free, and built into every platform. WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, Google Meet, and Teams all do what Skype once did, and they do it better. The peer-to-peer architecture that gave Skype its early advantage has been replaced by massive cloud infrastructure that delivers reliable, high-quality video to billions of users simultaneously. Skype's technology is gone, but its influence remains in every video call made today. The Estonian city of Tallinn, where most of the original development team worked and which housed 44% of the division's employees as of 2011, is still a technology hub, but it's building tools for a different communications landscape. The lesson here isn't that Skype failed because of bad leadership or a single wrong decision. It's that a structural advantage in one era can become a structural liability in the next. Skype's peer-to-peer model worked when bandwidth was expensive and users were patient. When the market shifted to mobile, to enterprise reliability, and to integrated platforms, the architecture that made Skype possible became the thing holding it back. Microsoft paid $8.5 billion for a company that owned a moment in time. But moments end, and the question isn't whether a company can dominate a market. It's whether the market it dominates will still exist in 10 years.